Bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Let's get Facebook in here and we can start our new time slot show. God bless. What a day to kick it off as well. There's Facebook. All right, folks. Welcome in. Welcome in. We'll let the chat and everything breathe for a second. And it is a Victory Monday, probably the most impressive and important Victory Monday the Broncos have had in a while, maybe since the Week 18 game last year, because that was clinching a playoff berth and breaking that streak. But my God, the Broncos take down the Kansas City Chiefs, who have won the division every year since 2016. And the Broncos now rise to 9-2 on the season, with currently a head-to-head over the 5-5 Kansas City Chiefs. I think I saw Football Outsiders or ESPN or somebody had the Broncos with a 72-ish% chance of winning the AFC West. We're riding high, baby. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Nick Kendall, joined by Eric Trickle. This is our new time slot, so hopefully everybody at home is enjoying and waking up early to do this. And shout out, first off, even before all of that, to Eric for the 4:30 a.m. wake up Alaska time. We probably need to start getting you on coffee or something here, Eric, pretty soon. Yeah, Chase says poor Eric being up at 4:30 a.m. We're going to have you climbing 14ers next time you're out here in Colorado with these wake up times.
Hey, it's wake up times aren't so bad. It's the fact that I don't get to sleep until, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. That's what makes the wake up time so rough. Dealing with insomnia isn't easy. It's not fun, but it's worth it. Being up this early, especially when you get to talk about the Broncos with the win that they had with their AFC and NFL leading, not just AFC West record right now. They sit atop at the NFL, sitting above the New England Patriots in the AFC, and then the NFC, the top two teams, Philadelphia Eagles sitting at 8-2, Rams sitting at 8-2, and they beat the Eagles. So they have the best record in the NFL right now, which is great to see. I mean, it's not something that anybody would have guessed. And just being able to talk about that after so many years of the Broncos being where they were, and after the statement that they made against the Chiefs, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning for this. Well, in this case, it was 3:30 in the morning because I couldn't sleep. It's worth it.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that. Hopefully we can keep that energy going forward, but today for sure. And yeah, man, what a game for the Denver Broncos. Obviously, things here or there that they could work on, but I guess the big takeaway is Bo Nix looked like a different quarterback than he has a lot of this season, and we'll get into that. I posted some broadcast clips yesterday because I don't think the all-20, maybe it's up now, but it wasn't out last night. So excited to get into it. Excited to say hello to everybody coming in. Share. Make sure you guys are liking, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. Because again, this is an hour earlier than our typical time. I'm sure some people are going to wake up and excited to hang out and listen and be like, wait a second. The show's over? What the heck happened? So we're going live 6:30 a.m. I'm going to make all you people 14er Mountain Time with waking up a little bit earlier here. Bright and early, our super chat's coming in. This is one I don't recognize because Crushing It's an awesome name, and it's also a really cool logo there. Kind of looks like an 8-bit retro Broncos logo there. He says, good victory morning, everyone. Bo looked great, set his feet, slung the ball where he wanted, and was clutch as always. Let's effing Bo, Orange Crush, go Broncos. Yeah, the main takeaway probably should be the defense for the Broncos, considering how good the Chiefs' offense has been this season and doing what they did without PS2. But, of course, Bo Nix looked different. I mean, I know that we had the mini buy and everything, but and he still has a little bit of, hyper ability, like in the pocket, like a little bit unsettled sometimes. Like there's sometimes it's like, okay, buddy, I see you climbing there, but we could reset still, the Tom Brady classic, reset and then deliver repeatable motion. But it was a billion times better than what we saw versus Houston, and especially the Raiders as well. And it didn't have to come from him scrambling like everybody's screaming for or all these other things. No, he played within the confines of the pocket. A lot of times he climbed up into space within the structure of the pocket while keeping his shoulders square and his base pretty good, much better than it has been. So yeah, but Bo Nix, I know there'll probably be some people like, this is always what he was. Like, he was not playing like this for a lot of the season, and we'll see if he can keep it up. But this makes me excited for what could come. If this is the level of play, we can go places this season.
Yeah, I mean, it was great, and even more than the footwork, it was not just and this is something that I highlighted a lot, especially after the Raiders game. There were so many plays where he was double clutching the ball, looks like those pump fakes because that comes from a point of not trusting your reads. You do that because you're not it's not trying to throw people off because these aren't pump fakes. These are double clutches, hitches in a step, things like that. That comes from a lack of confidence in what he's seeing and what he's reading, and that wasn't the case. There were multiple throws today. Like, as you said, there were still some issues, but those can be set aside for now because of how good he looked in these key areas that he needed to bounce back in. He hit the top of his drop and was making the throw most of the times. He went through his reads. That one big, I think probably the one of the best throws of the day in terms of from Nick's in a technical standpoint and with the confidence and all that was the third and 14 throw to Cortland Sutton early in the game. He hit
Yes.
the top of the drop. He made the slight climb in the pocket, and you can see him going through every single read. He checks left, looks right, goes back to Sutton, and fires it in there. Doesn't double clutch it, doesn't put a hitch in his step, doesn't do any of that. It's just clean from start to finish from him. One of the better throws with his footwork, which there were still some issues on some of those throws, but that was one of the better ones. And then another issue that he had was a lack of confidence in his what seemed to be a lack of confidence in his weapons to make plays at times. And the best example of him getting over that, Troy Franklin, 2 drops early in the game and then comes back and Nix is looking his way on critical downs late in the game that leads the Broncos to what one of them was on the field goal to take the lead to go up 16-13, and then the game time or the game tying field goal to get to 19, and then the game winning drive. Fired 2 big shots to Troy Franklin for big gains there, showing trust in his teammate, going that he's been with since college to make the play when it's needed. Granted, one of those plays, Franklin absolutely took advantage of a complete lunge at the line to press. But hey, that's fine. That's what you still need to do. You need to show that faith when that happens and that trust in him. Bo Nix looked completely different than he has all season long. This is the first game that I look at and I see him play since, this season anyways, where I look at Bo Nix, I'm like, he can be a legit top 10 quarterback because of how good this game was from start to finish. Some rough moments, yes, but it was still a really good game from him.
I mean, he looked confident, and there was I don't know who said it, but came out post game press conferences and interviews that Bo Nix was definitely bothered by the booing. He says he's not online or whatnot, but like he took it to heart, and he looked in the mirror and understood, as anybody who's watching critically could, that he was struggling and not playing very good football at that moment. And granted, it's football. There's plenty of finger pointing as well, but that's something that he took into, and he really rose to the occasion. So one thing, we've always said, like, we can criticize the play for what it is, but it doesn't have to be this long, big prognostication that he's always going to be trash. Progress isn't linear. Progress is also not guaranteed, but it's not linear. So we had plenty of time for him to figure it out. And boy, if this game becomes the baseline, like I said, the Broncos have a chance to, they could beat anybody in the league. We'll see. The Rams, Seahawks are pretty darn good, and as good as Bo Nix was, let's not confuse him with what Matt Stafford's doing right now, still, because the overall sample has been incredible. But with the defense and Bo Nix protecting the football and making the reads and the plays that are there, huge. So Denver Luke comes in and says, what are they going to say now? Obviously the narrative today is going to be, they'll talk about the Broncos being legit, but the narrative today for the national media is going to be more about the Chiefs dynasty ending. I don't give a flying rat's what. Is this Chiefs team great this season? Their offense is as good as it's been since they've had Tyreek Hill. They were number 2 in the league coming in on points per drive. They were throwing the ball as well as they'd had in multiple years. And what the Broncos defense did was incredible. I do think this is a very mediocre Chiefs defense on the whole. I know that some of their overall points given up were good statistically, but they had 40 or 40 less drives than the Broncos had this season. Now, granted, one less game to this point, but the way the Chiefs offenses have been playing has been protecting the defense. When you look at the efficiency numbers, they're very middle of the pack defensively, and Denver made them look middle of the pack for the most part. I wish we could have got a little bit more from the run game, but that's neither here nor there. Bo Nix even more impressive about Bo Nix, Broncos run for less than 60 rushing yards. They average less than 3 yards per carry, I believe, and the offense still puts up 22 points against a Chiefs team that possesses the football. So really, really awesome from the Broncos. If you play like this, you got a chance against anybody in the freaking league. So good to see you, Denver Luke. Appreciate you coming in. Let's say hello to some more folks. Obviously, the number one way you can get at us is with a super chat. We will definitely say hello if you do that. But that's obviously not the only way. And back to crushing it. Thanks for the $5. Said, thanks for the love of my logo. Had a viewer that I commissioned for some graphic work, and he nailed it. It is sick. It is sick. I love the old school logo. It's definitely my favorite. That's what I don when I can wear anything. Good to see David Youngkin. Good morning to you. Michael Ronquillo in the house. Good morning, Nick and Eric. Always appreciate Michael. We got Formula Salty Thunder says, how about a big special teams? Yeah, another good takeaway here, highlighting Mims. I don't know if this is the first game this season, Eric, but it's definitely one of the games. Hopefully I didn't freeze out here. Maybe it's Eric. But the Broncos definitively won special teams in this one, from the blocked field goal that Denver had, the out of bounds kick from the Chiefs as well, getting good field position. Mims returning the ball, some pretty good Crawshaw punts as well. Now, it wasn't like perfect by any means, but finally, Denver wins the third phase. It had not happened much this season. It had mostly been like the Broncos offense and special teams, losing to the defense being so good that they're breaking the mold of losing 2 or 3 phases and still winning. But special teams won this one. And when you win by a walk-off field goal, that makes all the difference. So shout out to Rizzy. You know, same with Bo Nix, same with all of this. Like, when you're bad, I will criticize you. But when you have a good unit and a good game, you better darn well praise it with the same energy. So shout out to Rizzy and his unit. Maybe the mini buy is what they needed as well. And welcome back, man.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but this was not the same special teams unit that we saw up to this point. It was one where every single phase of special teams basically made a play, and it wasn't just the field goal kicking and punting unit. You know, we got the big punt return. We didn't really get it in kick returns, but kickoff coverage, they didn't have their bust. And shout out to Jordan Turner and Q Robinson on special teams. Man, they were always around the returner making a play on the ball. I think every single tackle had at least one of them involved in it. Shout out to them for stepping up, especially Jordan Turner. I think this was his first call up on the season.
I think so.
Off the practice squad to come in and make an impact. Might have been his second. I think he might have been called up once before, but I can't remember for sure. So shout out to them. Shout out to Rizzy for, you know, seemingly going back to the basics with a lot of this too. Mims being back, that's great. We finally got, you know, a big return from him. He's had a couple of them, but this one was like the first one that really felt like it gave the offense a lot of momentum, and then setting them up, and then the one bad kickoff by the Chiefs to set them up in good field goal range. Like, just every single element from the Broncos special teams units were great this game. Obviously, Will Lutz with the game winner and the other multiple other field goals that he had. Perfect 5 for 5. Yeah. Jeremy Crawshaw was, man, there. One of his punts I was surprised was not blocked. Yeah. And he boomed that punt. And then Chiefs also had one that was almost blocked that their punter absolutely boomed as well. But man, this was the first game where I came away feeling good about special teams. And I'm going to add this, and I added it with the Broncos offense after the Dallas Cowboys game. Hopefully this wasn't a mirage, because the Chiefs special teams unit, when I went back and watched them, they hadn't been great all season. I don't know what the metrics say about the special teams, but at least on tape, they didn't look very good. So hopefully this wasn't a mirage game for the special teams unit. And they can carry this over into the rest of the season, because Denver can't keep losing on special teams like they were in the first 10 games of the season, and, you know, have so much fall on the offense and the defense. They need all three phases reliably.
Yeah. Really good to see them step up. Welcome back, Marvin Mims. It was unfortunate to see the Broncos come away 0 for 2 early in the game in the red zone goal to go situation. The Chiefs, obviously, this isn't a super Chiefs team. Obviously, like I said, they're still the team to beat, and they were number 1 in the Vegas power rankings. If you put a gun to my head, though, right now, I would have taken the Rams and Seahawks and maybe that might be it, honestly, in the entire NFL over Kansas City definitively right now. But Denver, if they're going to, you know, slay some dragons this season, maybe Denver's becoming a dragon themselves. But you got to take advantage of those early situations. I mean, what a different game it would have been if you were 14 to nothing out of the gate there rather than 6-0, right? So shout out to the Broncos defense as well. And again, just a really good game from the Broncos defense. Obviously, the penalty yards, we'll get into that here at some point, I'm sure. But holding the Chiefs to 5 for 13 on third down is really good. 0 for 1 on fourth down as well. 5 yards per play is not like incredible, but it's pretty good. 311 yards total, 1 for 4 in the red zone makes all the difference. And Denver winning the turnover battle. I mean, if you it's crazy how often you win the turnover battle, you win the football game. I know it's so basic, old coach speak, but stealing those possessions is key. Is key. Also key, Kevin coming in. Why are we still treating Franklin like our number one receiver, not with all those drops? He's part of the progression, and they keep feeding him the rock, and it's been frustrating. I mean, I was tweeting my jokes off in the first half, but he came up. They rewarded some of the patience in the second half there. So he's still a young receiver. I think ideally still he's probably more your 3 or 4 in a good receiver rotation, but right now Broncos are probably bottom 10 with Dobbins out in their overall like running back, tight end, wide receiver room. But luckily they have a top 3 defense and a top 5 offensive line and Sean Payton. And if Bo Nix plays like that, Sean Payton I think is of the belief that if you can block it up and I can draw it up and my quarterback can execute, I don't need to have superstar playmakers. I truly, I mean, obviously he'd rather have that and he finds them still, but I don't think he thinks he has to have those guys to have a functional offense. So in this game, I think was kind of proof of it. So shout out to Franklin turning it around and making some clutch plays and rewarding the Broncos and the trust, I guess. And then maybe they didn't have any other options, but he made some plays, which we haven't seen this season. And hopefully that's something that can springboard him going forward.
Yeah, I mean, on the one, it was such an easy read right off the snap because the defender lunged to press him, and he just sidestepped it. It was a beautiful get off by Troy Franklin, so credit to him. That was one area where, even though he showed some improvement earlier in the season, the get offs were still a bit problematic against press. Well, it helps when the corner lunges into it, but hey, he was able to sidestep that, get open. It was made for a very easy read on the one, and then the second one, that was just a beautiful throw to take advantage of the leverage that Troy Franklin set up on the corner and throwing it inside. And for Franklin, man, he made a great adjustment to it to get the ball and catch it because he was looking for it on the outside shoulder. And then he tracked it well to the inside, turned, adjusted, and made the catch. So a lot of credit to him for doing that and for bouncing back after those 2 drops, which the jokes are the jokes and the jokes are deserved. You can't drop those plays, especially on the critical. One of them was a pretty critical third down. The other one is a deep shot, which to Franklin's credit was just off the tips of his fingertips. So it was slightly overthrown, still a very catchable ball and one that he still needs to come down, still a drop. And so credit to him and credit to Nix and Sean Payton for still showing that trust in Troy Franklin to make the plays when needed. And as you said, it's one of those things. He's still a very young player. He's still only 21, 22 years old and still has a lot of room for growth. I really don't think he'll ever be a legit full-time number 2 receiver outside of being forced into it. I think if you're looking at him to be a number 3 receiver, and if Pat Bryant can continue his development the way he is, Denver could have a pretty solid 1-2-3 combo with Sutton, Bryant, and Franklin. But still a long ways to go for Franklin and Bryant to reach those levels.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mims as well, tossing it out there. I mean, we don't have to get into it too much. We got a bye week coming up, but a lot of information about the Broncos, interesting receiver this offseason from Rappaport coming out about, was it Schefter Rappaport coming out about Diggs? Broncos at the trade deadline. Apparently they had a deal, not as aggressive of a deal in place as the Bills did, but had a deal framework in place for Waddle. The Egbuka stuff at pick 19 with him coming off the board 1 pick before. So Denver, it does seem like they want another wide receiver. Now you can argue about the timeline of some of that stuff as well, but I mean, I guess the eye in the sky doesn't lie. You could use a little bit more firepower at wide receiver. It's become the number 2/3 paid position in the league for a reason. We got Jay Ross coming in, says Orange Rush is the new Orange Crush, Super Bowl bound. 1 game at a time, but man, we got our eyes now. AFC West, you got to take care of business. Still, I'm sure Sean Payton and this team will stay grounded. I'm happy for them to have the bye week, although I'm going to be bored next Sunday. But I'll be excited for the Broncos to kind of shift their focus from hopefully the AFC West. You still got to take care of business, but the 1 seed, and man, be to be. I don't know if you saw I tweeted a lot. I tweet a lot, Eric. You know that. But the one from Gladiator with I can't remember the actor's name, but everybody, the Gladiator, the thumb down one. Mm-hmm. Instead, we're going to be sitting there enjoying the show next week with Indy versus the Colts, or Indy versus the Chiefs, and either way, it's a win-win for me. Either a loss for the Chiefs, knocking them to 5-6, and it'd be pretty miraculous for them to make the playoffs at that point, especially because they lost the tiebreaker to everybody in the wild cards ahead of them, or the Chiefs beat the Colts, and then you just got the Patriots in their pathetic schedule in front of them. But you take care of what's in front of you. You got a chance. So, man, it feels, I cannot believe it. Honestly, I still can't believe it right now for the Broncos. How great it is. Good to see you, J. Ross. Appreciate you so much. We got Mark coming in here. Good morning, Broncos fan. Ernie Mays, we're 9-2, 8 straight wins. Yeah, incredible. DeAndre Weatherspoon, good morning, guys. Happy Victory Monday. Top of the AFC West. Tyler Brooks, got to get rid of the Iowa Hawkeye on defense, making us look bad. Yeah, he had a rough game. I do think there's a little bit of he's having the Garrett Bowles thing, Eric, where like every single ticky-tack thing that like, yeah, if you slow it down and watch in slow-mo, it's a penalty. But if you do that on every single player on the offensive line, every single defensive back, you're going to have a penalty that could arguably be thrown 50% of the time. And he's like not getting a single break right now. So stop holding. I don't know if you saw the post-game interview as well, where he took like the last one. He's like, there's nothing I can say about that one. I got to trust my technique and not panic when the ball's in the air. Like that last PI, him 1,000%. The other ones, it's like, okay, if you're going to call it both freaking ways the whole game, and we'll be here all day because there's going to be a penalty on 33% of the plays. But he's got to be better at the end of the day as well. Good positioning, trust your technique. Yeah, I don't know. I'm biased towards Riley because he's a good kid. But I do feel like a lot of the ones that are the 50-50 calls are going against him 95% of the time.
Yeah, so I'm going to preface this and say I don't agree with 2 of the penalties that were thrown on him. That doesn't mean they weren't penalties. Yeah. The first defensive pass interference, you can't grab the jersey. You can set your hand on the chest, but when you grab and the guy is running away from you and the ref who threw the flag had a clear sight of it, you're going to get called for that pretty consistently. That's one of the pretty consistent things with defensive pass interference in this is you see that one pretty regularly called. Now you can get away with it if you can obstruct their view and things like that, and that's what happens. But you can't grab it, especially when the receiver is clearly faster than you, and it shows you, and it leads to you time to kind of tugging on the jersey. I don't agree with it being called just because it's still. I don't think that the ball was really in I don't say it was uncatchable, but it was still in a tough spot for him to catch, and I don't think he impeded the catch process enough to warrant the defensive pass interference. The second one where he got called for the illegal contact downfield, I don't agree with that being called simply because the impact it had on the play was so minimal. I don't think Mahomes even looked to that side of the field. I think he just stuck on the right side, so it had no impact on it. But you can't sit there. You can't put your hands on the receiver. You can't ride with them beyond 5 yards. That's pretty standard. Like you can have some touching, some back and forth contact, but you can't sit there and have a hand on the chest, a hand on the back, and run with them that way. Yeah. Penalty shouldn't have been called because of the lack of impact I had on the play. The second defensive pass interference, that was clear as day. I mean, he was tackling a dude before the ball.
You can't do that.
I texted with a college defensive backs coach last night, and he brought up this. Riley Moss, and he's a Broncos fan as well. He brought up Riley Moss. Everybody talks about his confidence, but when you have that many pass interference calls, when you have this many flags against it, you don't have confidence in yourself. And Moss touched on that afterward. You have to have confidence in your technique. You have to have confidence in your positioning. When you're leading to these things that call on it, going back to the Dallas Cowboys game with the 2 pass interference calls on there, both of those, I don't agree with one of them being called. I think the other one should have been defensive holding, but you can look at them both stem from a lack of confidence in himself, a lack of trust in himself. One of them grabbing CeeDee Lamb when he's going through his break because Moss's momentum was going one way. The other one was a little bit more ticky-tacky. Moss has to find a way to start getting benefit of the doubt again because he doesn't have it right now. You mentioned it with Garrett Bowles. It's that same situation. Everything ticky-tacky, everything that's, by rule is a defensive pass interference, but it may not have the biggest impact on the outcome of the play, which is something that refs are taught to do. It's why some of these penalties can be so frustrating. They are taught to look with holding, with pass interference. What's the impact on the play? He's got to figure out a way to start having that trust in his technique and that trust in himself a little bit more to keep these penalties from being called, because it's so frustrating. It nearly cost the Broncos this game. And at some point, you got to send a message to Riley Moss that you have to figure this out and get it corrected. Otherwise, we are going to make a switch. I don't know when that is. I think it's pretty darn close to it. I don't know if you do it out of the bye week with Patrick Surtain's first game back, but at some point a message has to be sent. Riley Moss has to take it to heart, has to really get it into his head that he cannot do this anymore and break that trend. And again, regain the benefit of the doubt, which Garrett Bowles has done. So it's something on Moss. He's got to get it figured out.
Yeah. I will be curious with Patrick Surtain coming back. If he comes back for the Washington game, I mean, if it's Marcus Mariota, do you have to rush him back if he's not 100%? Granted, or is anybody ever 100%? But take your time. I mean, shout out to Vance Joseph and the defense. He's all caps gone after this season, unless he absolutely bombs the interviews. But listening to people who connected to him, as well as articles written about him, like when he gets the opportunity, he's going to go. I know Broncos fans like, oh, what if we just throw a lot of money at him? He wants to be one of the 32, and he's deserves that chance. So he'll be gone, and these are what we call good problems. I'm a little bit worried about the rating of the defensive staff with him as well, but we'll see what happens with it. Sean Payton made a good hire there with going with Vance the first time. I trust the infrastructure in place. Ace of Spades, good to see you in the house. We got Sentinel coming in here. Great to see you. Raw Truth said Pat Bryant stepping up. Yes, he did. I'm really happy that he cleared the concussion there. I was worried about him there for a second. Good play action pass, I think, on that one. David Carmelo, good to see you. $5 super chat. Says it's pretty clear that Bo Nix plateaued more than regressed compared to last year. Does his best case scenario remain Jalen Hurts tier? I think his best case scenario still is probably more of a Dak Prescott quarterback in the end, who was, didn't have the A+ arm, but had, an A- B+ arm, good, well-built athlete that grew into a really smart, cerebral pocket passer over time that had a really good offensive line to protect him and allow him to grow over time. So I think that's probably still more the, I hate to put like actual ceiling on it. Like it's always just like we're trying to compare styles of guy. Like he'll never be Josh Allen. He'll never be Patrick Mahomes. He's not Drake May, right? They're just stylistically different players. But this was better than Jalen Hurts has been as a drop back passer for a lot of his career in this Chiefs game, actually working the middle of the field somewhat. So I don't know if he plateaued. I would say that he regressed compared to last year for the most part until this game, other than the Bengals/Cowboys game, which I don't even know what to do with those two games because they were playing JV level defenses. But I'm not ready to put any sort of label on Bo Nix other than he's the Broncos starting quarterback right now. And if you can play like this going forward, you got a chance to be a long-time starter for the Broncos and earn a pretty big second contract. But it is just one game. Do it again. That's what impresses me. I don't know if you remember the Eagles game, Eric, where they beat that one. It's like, I'm impressed they beat the Eagles, but I'd be more impressed if they can win the next 4 games in a row, because doing it week in and week out against different competition is more impressive than just having one good game. So shout out. I mean, obviously they'll take the one good game, but what makes the difference is doing it week in and week out and having a baseline and a trustworthy level play in each game.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with you. I think it was pretty clear that he regressed from last year up into this point. And I think this game is the first game where he really inspires that confidence, as I said earlier, that he could be a top 10 quarterback instead of, and I don't want to like make that sound like, oh, I didn't think he could be a top 20. I had him right around, 11 to like 14, 15, but this is the first game again. Really seemed like he could be a top 10 quarterback. And if he could just keep playing like this, keep playing smart, keep playing clean and fast, and with confidence in himself and his playmakers, then this team could go anywhere and they could win the Super Bowl this year if they can get that level of play out of him every single game from here on out. And so it's, as you
and
said,
they won't also
they
like
won't.
There'll be dips, and guess what? We'll say the dip was a dip, but that doesn't mean that he's trash or anything else. So sorry to interrupt you. I think that's just important. It doesn't have to do that every week. You just want the trend line to reach that point.
Yes. And you're going to have those games, and then how you can make up for it when, Bo Nix does slip, does have those dips in it. But you just want him to keep going forward with it and inspire that confidence going forward, because one thing with him, even though we had our questions about him, this team, and we've gone through a lot of bad quarterbacks in Denver over the last 10 years, right? And how many times have we gotten to this point where the offense has struggled this much and we've heard the rumblings? The defense is fed up with the offense. The defense is fed up with the quarterback. The receivers are fed up with the quarterback. It's been like almost every single year up into last year with Bo Nix, where they seem to have it. And then this year, we're not hearing that either. This team has not lost faith at all in Bo Nix, and they've kept it. They've kept that faith. They've kept that trust in him, and kept in it, not just from the coaching staff, not just from the front office, but the players as well. And that speaks to their just what they believe in and how they will be willing and can cover for Bo Nix when he has those down weeks, as they did for 7 of these 8 pretty much win games in the win streak outside of the Dallas Cowboys game. So a lot of faith in Bo Nix, a lot of ways for this still to go, still very early in his young career. And right now he set that trend of this with the statement win of where you need him to be, where you want him to be, and it's just achieving it pretty consistently from here on out.
Yeah. It's the week to week, and it doesn't always have to be perfect. But this is a step in the right direction. I really like that. I mean, the boos bothered him, but I think it was more so him looking in the mirror. I mean, he knew that he was struggling. I'm sure there was talk behind the scenes with Sean Payton as well. What you get from the press conference isn't always what you're getting in the film room. That's for damn sure if you've ever been in something like that. But no, it was good to see. So I don't think he's plateaued. Maybe he has also, David, but there's no reason, I think, to put definitive labels on him, right? Well, I mean, from seeing what he looked like from the Raiders game to this game, night and day difference. He played like the worst let's call it as it is, like one of the bottom 3 quarterbacks in the NFL in that Raiders game. And he played like a top 10 guy in this game. So it's just finding that consistency. That's what separates, flash in the pan quarterbacks with like good seasons, good games to stalwarts. So we got Jay Milzo coming in, says overreaction. Do you think we change cornerback Moss for Chris Abrams-Drain or Chris Abrams from Drain? These PAs will cost us huge in the playoffs and becoming a target to draw PI. It's possible. Again, we have the bye week. I think it's good for everybody to get away, including Moss. Also, to Moss's credit, right now he's operating as cornerback 1, and he should not be cornerback 1, right? Like he's a good cornerback, especially on a rookie cost-controlled contract as a cornerback too. Like I'll stand by that. Penalties are an issue, and I mean, like you mentioned, Eric, got to send a message. I don't know if you saw the interview. Also, he talked about putting on the boxing gloves for practice, just so he doesn't even have the ability to grab. So a big week for him, and we're pulling for him because he's in phase. Like he does the stuff right from the ground up to his wrist most of the time, and you're going to get beat every once in a while when you play cover 1 as much as Denver does and teams are throwing it deep. Every once in a while you're going to get beat. You just are. But you gotta clean up the penalties there. Even if I think it's like Bulls early on where it's like every single ticky tack one is going against him. It's like every once in a while you gotta not throw that flag. But we'll see. We talked about a lot earlier. Thanks, Jay Milzo. We do have a lot of super chats coming in. Diego, good to see you. Pat Bryant continues to impress. I think we have something. Yeah, I mean, again, Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin, am I ready to dub them wide receiver 2s, let alone wide receiver 1s? I'm not yet, but useful pieces that Sean Payton is deploying well that are taking advantage of their opportunities. Yes, absolutely. And I'm excited to see Pat Bryant get more involved. I don't think he's the overly most explosive player. Like I wish there was a little bit more wiggle in the after the catch or some explosiveness after that. But again, you're talking a round 3 pick. So he's been consistent and he's making some plays when they're there. So I'm excited for him as well. And we talked about how much wide receivers are getting paid, Eric. When you have that on cost control, even if they are a wide receiver 3 or 4, that's good ROI. So excited to see how those guys can continue to grow.
Yeah, it's such a bummer that his 100% catch rate for first downs and touchdowns kind of went away in this game because of a screen.
Yeah,
that was still the only catch, but the first catch that he had on the season, even in this game, where it wasn't a first down or a touchdown for it. And that reliability is something. He's only had 1 drop on the season, and that was a bit of a high throw on him against the Giants. Still very catchable, still a drop. So he's really become Mr. Reliable for it. And one thing that I touched on in, I think it was this last Friday night episode of the Valley Drivers, was I would like to see Bryant get a screen thrown his way, because he's used so much as a blocker that he can catch the defense off guard a little bit. And so it was nice to actually see it happen against the Chiefs, and he picked up a decent set of yardage for it to get the Broncos ahead of the chains on it, ahead of the sticks. So it was nice to see. And it's not something that you got to do every single game. It's not something you want to do 2-3 times a game, but just every so often where you can catch defense sleeping a little bit and hopefully make something happen. Because, he doesn't have that great wiggle or explosiveness, but he's very smart with his angles. And that's one thing that we've seen on some of those crossers over the middle, where he has taken them and picked up an extra 10, 15 yards that he's done a few times this season. He just takes those smart angles to keep defenders, in a negative leverage against them on their pursuit. So I would like to see more screens toward him going forward, just not super frequently. You still want that to be Troy Franklin or Marvin Mims, who have that wiggle and that speed, that explosive speed, to really be such a threat. But you can catch defenses sleeping. So happy for him. He was one of the picks that I like, and I think he was the pick that got the most ridicule from Broncos fans during our live stream, was the Pat Bryant pick. So good to see him being, so far outside of Crawshaw, the best rookie performer for the Broncos.
Yeah, I think you're right. I will say, I was on a show last week where they asked me my favorite pick so far, and while he's not had a lot of sample, given the position he plays and the ROI that you could get there, I'm pretty excited about Q Robinson. And I was happy to have you give him a shout out for the special teams, but like for a fourth rounder, looking like he does right now, like that's like, he looks like a second rounder to me right now, and he's been inactive because you have a spoil of riches. But shout out to Q. He looks like something, man. I'm not saying superstar by any means, but like, again, where is the value on your return on the investment? He looks like a really good number 3, I think, is there. Maybe even a 2, but the edge defense run stuff, we don't have to get into too much. We got the bye week coming up.
He did pretty well setting the edge against
Yes.
Jawan Taylor a couple times
Yes.
against the Chiefs. And then he had a big pass rush. So Q Robinson, that's a good shout out. I think the sample size is why I would still say Pat Bryant, but Q Robinson, I agree with you. He does look like something.
He looks like a dude, man. And that was my favorite pick, the last draft. So I'm biased. But confirmation bias on that one. Rob Bucksbaum, good morning. Happy Victory Monday. Bryant is a stud, and we are in line for the number 1 seed. Let's go. One game at a time, folks. One game at a time. But Denver is, I think even the 1 seed is great, but man, the monkey off the back that would be a home playoff game in the AFC West and toppling the Chiefs, who have won it 9 years in a row, Eric, I believe. That would be incredible. So just happy to be here right now, and you keep winning games. We'll see where it falls. Getting a bye week would be incredible. But right now the goal is still the AFC West, and boy, did we make some inroads on that. So thank you, Rob, so much for the super chat. Diego J. Milzo, also $5. Then we got a big one coming in here from Perry West, $22. Hopefully the Broncos score 100 points in their next game, given what the super chat correlates to here. But it says 9-2 Denver over the Chiefs in a game the Chiefs needed. Yeah, I'm excited. I don't typically listen to too much to national media. I don't want to be influenced too much. I like my eyes and my own logic to do most of the nonsense that comes out of my mouth. I don't want anybody else to be attributed for the stupidity that I say. But no, I'm looking forward to seeing what whatever his name is, Nick, the big Chiefs hater.
Nick Wright? You haven't seen his tweet on it?
I saw he tweeted something, but I'm excited to see what he says in like long form
okay.
today as well. So I'll be looking for that one just because, enjoy these moments, right? Enjoy them. So Nick Wrong.
Nick Wright, more like,
yeah.
Oh
God damn it, Nick. I'll kick me out. Troy Brewer coming in here says, love the culture Sean Payton has created. Everyone plays hard and for each other. Don't need as many superstars with that type of team. Excited to see how far they go. Amazing time to be a Denver sports fan. Yeah, I'll be honest, guys. I am football all the time, 24/7. If I had another, it's Iowa Hawkeyes and Denver Broncos through and through. And then my next favorite team would probably be the NFL draft. So like shout out to the Avalanche fans and Nuggets fans as well. I probably won't be tuning in, which is, God bless you. I'll watch some baseball, Cardinals and Mariners. But yeah, really happy for the Denver fans. And I'm excited. Actually, why did we start the job? Start the show earlier, and we're changing to Mondays and Fridays. I start my big boy job in Denver this week. So I'm going to be out and about, and I'm excited to hopefully feel the vibes out here in Denver. Hopefully a lot of orange. I know I was kind of a jinx going to games, Eric. I was like 0-9 until the Broncos finally beat the Packers. And now I've seen 2 victories this season already. So maybe the jinx is broken. But when I move here, hey man, we're back on the winning way. So maybe I reverse jinxed it. Good to see you, Troy. All the great super chats coming in here. I think big picture, Eric, I did want to give out another shout out to Vance Joseph. We talk a lot about Bo Nix, and like we said, if Bo Nix plays like this, you're gonna have a chance against almost anybody in the league. Defense has to show up too, like they have, and boy, have they. I know that like all Bo Nix, the most comebacks in NFL history for a player through their first 2 seasons, everything like that. But I mean, you don't get a chance for those comebacks if the defense isn't standing on their bleeping head. Now, I'd like a little bit more turnovers, takeaways, of course, as well. I'm pretty butthurt that it was a penalty, but like if you're going to call it, there's going to be flags on 33% of the plays. I tell you, the pick 6 for Jahdae Barron would have been great. Just get that monkey off their back as well. Defensive touchdown would be awesome at some point. But what Vance Joseph has done with this defense, especially over these last 3 games, without the defensive player of the year, who is the identity of your defense in the back 7, allows you to do what you've done to win these 3 games like they have. I mean, stand up and take a bow. I don't even like the defenders, obviously, as well. Vance Joseph, the positional coaches, everybody wants the quarterback and, Sean Payton and the excitement, everything, but this is a defensive first team. And what they did over the last 3 weeks, where it could have been easy to have the system cave in on itself, so to speak, without your identity piece, they stepped up. I mean, it is remarkable. So really, really been so impressed with Vance Joseph. If you'd have told me that what they've done the last 2 seasons after that 70-20 game, I'd have said, give me the peyote, buddy. You've had enough. But it's been remarkable. So shout out to Vance Joseph and this defense. They are unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's a shame that he's most likely, I don't want to say he will because it's not set in stone. He's most likely going to get a head coaching job, so will be curious for what the defense does after this, but fortunately they have a lot of their pieces locked up. I still think there's a few pieces that they need to get locked up on defense. Either Alex Singleton or Justin Cernat extended would be great. I prefer Justin Cernat at this point of their careers. Malcolm Roach, John Franklin Myers, because if Vance Joseph gets a head coaching job, not only is he going to steal the staff, I would bet those players are going to be pretty high on his desire list for free agency, depending obviously on where he goes and what the team looks at those positions. One team that has been looked at pretty favorably is the New York Giants, with what they have with that defensive front, being able to go in there and largely replicate it. Well, a player like John Frankenmeyers, Malcolm Roach, and Justin Cernat can all be major impacts with what they have with the defensive line quality, and Dexter Lawrence in the middle and adding to that rotation with him, and Roy Robertson Harris. I mean, 4 interior defensive linemen in Denver. You have those 4. You can bring those 4 into Giants. So I'll be really curious to see what happens if he does get that job, who gets plucked off the staff, who they replace him with. I know everybody expects it to be Leonard, but maybe there's somebody else that they're looking at. But hat tip to him. He fully, it's going to be annoying. And I know a lot of people will still ridicule him for the head coaching job that he did here in Denver, even though there was a lot behind the scenes where he didn't even have a lot of say in who even played in games. He was a head coach in name only, basically, when he was in Denver. Almost no roster say. So he fully deserves a second chance at a head coaching job. He has earned it. I would say he's probably earned it the most out of almost anybody of these defensive minds that we've seen talked about with, deserving a second chance. He's probably earned it the most. He's just done such a phenomenal job here in Denver. Hat tip to him. You can nitpick a lot of things with this defense, but when it matters most, man, they come in clutch.
Yeah. Got young Tyrone in here, 9-2. Good to see you. We're going to be wrapping up here soon. Sean says, Dak Prescott, how dare you? Dak doesn't win Super Bowls or many playoff games. If you knew my body of work, in my opinion, of Dak Prescott, that's really high praise. I think Dak is a top 7-8 quarterback. He's just had, other than the first 2 or 3 seasons of his career, pretty bad situational team around him, especially defense. But you put Dak Prescott with this Broncos defense with Sean Payton, I mean, we're right there with the top 3 teams in the NFL. So if we could get that level of play, we'd be great. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, that's maybe also an indictment that I don't expect Bo Nix to be Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson level of play, because those are the top 3. But I mean, Dak is a top 7 quarterback in the NFL right now. If I had to win one game, there's probably only one quarterback in the entire NFC I would take over Dak Prescott. If I was like, I just think the situation around him, especially the defensive side of the ball, isn't great. But the only quarterback I think in the NFC I would like for sure take over him is Matt Stafford. So I mean, don't take for me that I'm telling you that's not an insult. You can perceive it that way, but I think Dak is really good. Jermaine, great to see you. Kirks, what a wonderful week. Yes, it is great to see you. Formula says that the Chiefs, Colts, and Chargers have a tough schedule ahead. We got Tyler Brooks. I don't know if we got to see you too much, Tyler. Good to see you. Appreciate you coming in here. Joe Brewer, good, awesome to see you. And Prod comes in here. This is a good point as well, talking about the Broncos defensive line. Talk about some of the depth and spoil of riches. I know it's Patrick Surtain stirs the straw that stirs the drink for like what they can call, but the identity of the team probably still that defensive line and pass rush. And Owazarike has really become a very useful piece as well. Now, I don't know if I think he's good enough that he should like outright supplant Malcolm Roach, but I think it's having that internal option gives Denver some leeway. And I know it's not a 1-for-1 for them as well, but you're talking a little bit more of the 0-1, some 3 in there. And he's been a very good, useful piece for that Broncos defense and that defensive line. They don't have Myles Garrett out there. Like Nick Bonitto's great. Jonathan Cooper's great. Zach Allen are awesome. You might not find a better trio in the NFL, but they don't have the Von Miller, Myles Garrett type, but like the depth and the waves that they have, nobody can match the depth of the Broncos defensive line this season. Nobody.
Yeah, I mean, Uwazurike, there's still lapses in his technique, so there's still room for him to grow and develop and, still be better than what he is. And he's made some plays and he's been caught looking at times, caught in double teams. But when he plays with the good pad level and good hands, man, he looks like he is practically unstoppable. I think he is fine. I think he's an excellent 5th man in the rotation on the defensive line.
Yes.
Can he be that 4th or 3rd guy? I don't know. Just because he is so tall. He's what, 6'6", right? 6'5". And he just plays naturally high, so it's harder for him to play with that proper pad level that, that defensive linemen need leverage. It's so important for them. But as you said, he's a very impactful piece as that 5th man on the rotation. I'd like to keep him there at least for another year to see if he can continue to grow and take that step forward into being that 4th, 3rd man of the rotation, which is why I talk about extending Malcolm Roach. But right now, I mean, as you said, it does create that conversation of how much do you need Malcolm Roach, because Uwazurike is doing enough, and you still have confidence in your coaching staff and confidence in him to continue to develop to be that piece. So hat tip to him for bouncing back from the year-long suspension for gambling and all that, and biding his time, and finally making Denver's patience. He's rewarding Denver's patience with his play this season.
And I'll be remiss. I know we got to go. I got to get in on the new job, drop the kid off at daycare. So we are going to start wrapping up. But 2 things I would be absolutely remiss if we didn't talk about on this one, Eric, as a positive. Shout out, game ball, Jaquan McMillan. The 2 sacks. Now, granted, I absolutely adore the nickel blitz, and shout out to Vance Joseph for the timing. I mean, I don't know who was next to him, Jaquan McMillan on the last sack, but taking off on that looked like a stunt where he created just such a better line for Jaquan McMillan. Good job with the coverage on the back end, too, causing Mahomes to just pause for a second. McMillan finishing, had the 2nd sack as well, and then the interception. Granted, horrible throw by Patrick Mahomes, and it wasn't technically the red zone. I think they're on the 22, but by all intents and purposes, it was a red zone turnover that took points off the board. Denver ends up winning to 3, who doesn't make the one costly mistake wins a lot of times in these games, and Denver didn't. Chiefs did. But I have to give a shout out to Jaquan McMillan. I know that we had talked about with the Broncos' depth, maybe if somebody offers a day 2 pick, you at least consider it. Injury changes things. I'm happy to have him here. You still have a year of control after this as well. I think he was an exclusive rights free agent this offseason. He'll be a restricted free agent this year. Can't imagine Denver letting him go for anything less than a second round pick at this point. So, and I don't think somebody would give up a second round pick for 1 year left of a slot cornerback. So we're happy to see him play well. He's been awesome this season. I think he's also a good reminder when I say I want to bring in another wide receiver for competition, some people will kick and scream that's not fair to the young players. Guess what, young players? Step up. And that's what Jaquan McMillan did. They drafted a guy to replace him, and he held him off and has been incredible. So iron sharpens iron. These are professionals at the end of the day. Good teams bring in young replacements, and if you don't like it, play better. Jaquan McMillan's done that, despite the pedigree is as far on the opposite end as it possibly can be. So shout out Jaquan McMillan, and shout out to the Broncos pass protection on the offensive line as well. I know we're giving Bo Nix a lot of credit for stepping up in the spaces when he needs to be. Honestly, my favorite throw for improvement for Nix this season was an incompletion. Incompletion this one. It was one where there's almost no space, and he steps up into a crowd and fires it to Troy Franklin on the right side, and he's getting hit. The pocket is teeny tiny. He stays square and delivers a catchable football. Incomplete, but his ability to steal that space by climbing there and still delivering a catchable football. You do that, we're cooking with grease, man. But at the end of the game, pass protection was unbelievable. That 3rd and 15, they didn't sniff Bo Nix on that one. He had all day to find his guys, and he trusted his line. So it's obviously the symbiotic relationship. But had to give a shout out to Jaquan McMillan. Had to give a shout out to the Broncos offensive line and pass protection. Run blocking could have been better, not all on them, but the pass protection was awesome. So did have to get that out there before we close up the show.
Yeah, the pass blocking was really rough in the first half for the most part, but they cleaned it up. Whether they figured out, stuff with the Chiefs defense, with their defensive front, with what they're looking at, or whatever it was, they did bounce back in the second half, which figuring out what they're doing, that could be what they did. I mean, we heard Chris Jones talk about it, about how the Broncos knew the call on defense on the 1-3rd down play offensively, and we've heard other teams in other games talk about knowing what the Chiefs were going to do. They've been very predictable. So that very well could be what led to it. The run blocking still left a lot to be desired, which, man, without J.K. Dobbins, the Broncos, not to be a Debbie Downer, they have to figure out something with the run game. 2.8 yards per carry is it's not acceptable. Nowhere near close to acceptable. You can't get 2.7 yards per carry out of your top back in R.J. Harvey. Completely unacceptable. Not just the running back's fault, but the offensive line's fault as well. They have to figure something out with that going forward. But pass protection was great. And Jaquan McMillan, man, I remember when he was coming out, I fully felt that he was worth a 6th or 7th round pick. And when Denver brought him in as an undrafted free agent, I said, this guy, he's going to end up as a starter at some point in the league, either with the Broncos or elsewhere. And he plays bigger than he is. He plays really tough. Is he perfect? By no means is he perfect, but he is still a pretty good quality nickel corner, and I'd be very curious to see what the Broncos do with him. Obviously, he's still a restricted free agent. He's not going to get an original round tender, because that means that a team can sign him and that they don't owe Denver any picks. I'll be curious if they want to take that extra step and protect him by that 1st round tender, or try and tempt teams a little bit with the 2nd round pick and be like, you guys can take him, you can sign him to an extension and give him this money and all this stuff like that, and we'll take a 2nd round pick. I'm really curious what the Broncos do with that, if they kind of game him a little bit, because even if somebody does go to sign him with a 2nd round tender or even a 1st round tender, Denver has the opportunity to match, and that could help set the market for him and set the cost. So I'll be curious to see how Denver plays that out, because, man, he's been playing great. He's been the best corner for the Broncos this season, and, man, he made a big play for it. And one thing you mentioned a little bit ago that I just want to touch on real quick, the turnovers. Man, get Talanoa Hufanga on the jugs machine. If he caught 9 dropped interceptions, we wouldn't be talking about turnovers. No. It's every single game he's dropped at least 1, and he had 2 dropped in this one. Well, one of them's kind of a little bit more wishy-washy with the dropped interception, but one of them was clear as day. And then he had 2 a couple games ago. Get him on the jugs machine, man. He's been absolutely fantastic for the Broncos defense, but he could, it's just amazing that he could still take it a step further by just getting those interceptions.
I guess the stream is all of a sudden going to what. So this is a StreamYard issue, because Eric, you are crystal clear to me, and my internet says it's humming along. So every once in a while, StreamYard has an issue. I guess I'm glad it's happening at the end here. So that's a sign to wrap it on up. Appreciate everybody coming in here with all the super chats and everything. Did want to get Coach Chris, good morning. How about the Broncos? It's a great day. Have a wonderful day. Sorry I was late. Well, we were early, and we're going to be early from now on, so hopefully we'll train you guys. I'm still not trained, even though I've been married for a bit, but wife's still working on it, as she should. I'm a slob. But appreciate everybody coming in here. All the super chats, crushing it. Denver, Luke, David Carmelo, Jay Milzo, Diego, Rob coming in here, Perry West, Troy Boer, and of course, Coach Chris. You guys are killing it. Sorry that the stream gets a little choppy here at the end. Hopefully it's cleaning up here as we close out. Man, Broncos 9-2, victory over the Chiefs. Chiefs 5-5, a chance to go to 5-6. 5-6 would be hilarious. Indy with a bye week too, after getting beat up by Broncos. I mean, I don't know what the stat is, but teams, I think the only team so far this season, there've only been 2 teams so far this season that have won following their Broncos game, and it has been the Colts and then the Texans. Also, they beat the Jags in that crazy game as well. But man, great. 9-2, first place in the AFC West. First place in the AFC. Bo Nix looked like a viable franchise caliber quarterback in this game. Some things to tweak, of course. Riley Moss penalties, a run game that would be nice. Miss you, J.K. Dobbins already. That's gonna might be huge on the stretch. We got a bye week coming up as well, so we'll be here Friday again next for the Broncos. Same time, same place. Follow us on Twitter. Eric's at Eric Trickle. I'm at Nick Kendall MHH. Also over at Mile High Huddle. We're at facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle pod. Make sure you're becoming a subscriber, a member over on YouTube as well. That helps us a heck of a lot. And subscribe, like, and share over on YouTube as well. You guys have a great rest of your day. Eric, any final words, final thoughts? Shout out about Hufanga. Also, he's done everything. He did the hard stuff about being in the right spot. Now just finish the play, buddy.
Yeah, man, it's tough watching it. Like, for me, one of the most frustrating things is dropped interceptions. Like, man, especially when you're doing so much, so well, so consistently. Missed tackle on Travis Kelce aside, man, just extra little bit can be so rewarding for yourself. And man, I stand by it. He is still the best non-quarterback free agent signing in the NFL. And man, it's so good. But savor this moment, right? It's been so long for the Broncos since we've been able to legitimately talk about being in the hunt for the AFC West division title. And here we are with basically a game and a half lead on the Chargers. I know it's technically 2 games, but they own the tiebreaker for now. And man, the Broncos, their schedule going forward, it's not super easy, but it's not super difficult. Really looking like Jaden Daniels-less Washington Commanders coming out of the bye week. Then you have the Raiders. Then you have the 2 tough games. The Packers, who seem to be on a resurgence, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are still pushing forward. And then closing out with the 2 divisional games against the Chiefs and the Chargers. Man, it's Denver's so close to winning the title. Just a few more wins, and Denver can have it, man. And so excited for that. It's been so long since we've been here. And man, it's just great to be here with this team and being able to cover them through the highs and the lows, but finally back to the highs.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate everyone coming in here. We're gonna get on out. Summit says goodbye as well. I promise you, he's alive. He acts like he's got it so rough, but no, he's good. But appreciate everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Broncos got the bye week coming up, so we'll still have some stuff to talk about. Of course, maybe some mid-season grades, and appreciate all the love as well. Man, what a game! I was dancing around with a little kid in my arms, flinging him here and there. Just super excited for that one, wearing his vintage thrifted Peyton Manning jersey. So gotta love it. You guys are great. Shout out to everybody. Eric, shout out to you for waking up at 4:30. Go get some rest and enjoy the rest of your day, man. Soak this in. It's been a bit. Watch the highlights, consume the media, take a lap, enjoy the bye week, because the Broncos are as well. So, and the fans, you guys deserve this too. So have a great one. Go Broncos. Kindness and compassion, as always.